Laker Nation, what is going on? We are back with episode 9 of the Showtime Forum podcast. I am your host, Royal Barbon, and with me, as usual, is none other than Mr. Del Toro. What up, Rochacho?
What's up, man?
What's going on, dude? How's the week been treating you?
It's been good. It's been kind of quiet on the Laker front, though. So
has it?
I think that's what it is.
Damn, this is quiet to you?
I mean, yeah.
Well, if you guys want to drop a line, you guys know where to reach us. You can catch us on Showtime Forum. That's on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You can also reach Adele and I at the handles listed in the description below. And with us today is a fellow Laker diehard, the godfather of Lakers hype videos himself. When he's not dropping a new LA Avengers video, you can catch him hosting and producing 2K TV, Chris Manning, or as he's better known to the online community, LD2K.
LD2K. Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for coming on, man, and shooting the breeze.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So for those who aren't familiar with 2K TV, how would you go ahead and just kind of break it down for them? How would you simplify it for them?
Yeah, so NBA 2K TV is pretty much, I believe, the longest episodic TV program inside a video game. And basically we touch on NBA 2K, the NBA culture, lifestyle stuff. We have celebrities on. We talk to athletes. We talk to the community directly. So, I spent 7 years on the NBA 2K franchise serving as the community manager. And now I'm kind of in a new role working with the development team and producing and hosting the show alongside my new co-host, Alexis Morgan. So it's been a lot of fun. And, we're just trying to really engage with the community, a lot like what I do with Lakers fans, before I was with 2K. So it's just really connecting with people that have a passion about basketball, have a passion about NBA 2K, and kind of bringing all that culture together inside a show. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that's a genius show, by the way. And just so I'm sure you guys are aware of that, but it's genius.
I appreciate
it. Speaking on that, have you had a chance to catch any of these playoffs?
Oh yeah. I had to run away from the TV right now to record this. So I'm a diehard basketball junkie. Literally, I sit and my life revolves around basketball, career-wise, personal. So it's really great to kind of watch the playoffs. Although I was hoping our Lakers squeezed in there. The injuries suck this year, but it's fun to watch the next generation of players. I think it's been a little weird, for me being a Kobe fan and that was my guy growing up and watching his entire career. And kind of now we're transitioning into the next phase. All our guys are kind of retiring. Dwayne Wade's kind of gone. Dirk's going to be gone now. So Kevin Garnett's gone. So as we come into this, I guess this next generation of hoopers, it's kind of been fun to not only enjoy it as a basketball fan, but also work around it as well. So it's exciting, and these playoffs have been pretty good, sans LeBron, obviously.
Yeah. So how are your playoff predictions doing so far? Who you got winning it all? You're rolling with Golden State?
If they get KD back and he's healthy, and it sounds like he's not going to play game 1 or 2 of the finals, obviously Golden State has to be the favorite, especially with how well they played in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, for Golden State to play without KD and even have Iggy out towards the later end of that series, to come back from 17, I believe it was 17, 18, 17 in 3 consecutive games against, Portland, who was a tough team this year. That's just remarkable. They're playing at a very high level, something that I think we haven't seen since those kind of three-peat, era Lakers. It's pretty remarkable what they're doing. But I have to say there's something about Milwaukee, and as we're recording this, Game 5 is on, so it's back and forth right now. I think it's going to be interesting because either Eastern team has home court advantage over the Warriors. Yeah. And, you're assuming that series goes 7, and even if it goes 6, they're going to have more fluidity in terms of playing basketball more recently than the Warriors. So it's going to be interesting to see if, A, the Warriors can come out and still be pretty sharp in the final series, and then B, if Kevin Durant's back, is he going to just be infused right into the offense? Because right now they're playing at a super high level and passing the ball and cutting at the right times, and they're playing unbelievable. And Draymond's on his A game. It's pretty incredible. So it's hard to go against the Warriors and that championship experience, especially with, the Raptors. They're going to need to give Kawhi some more help, I think, around Kawhi. Yeah. Lakers would be a great team to give you some help, Kawhi. Just throwing it out there. But, I think whichever team makes the finals in the East, it's going to be pretty tough, I think, for them to get past the Warriors with how they're playing. That being said, we haven't really seen the Warriors be challenged in terms of not having home court in the finals. So it's one of those things that's going to championship and poise versus, hunger and that kind of, you don't have that experience, so you don't know any better. So my official prediction is I think Milwaukee will win the title, but it won't surprise me if Golden State repeats.
Way to join Team Milwaukee, man.
I have to.
No, I think you guys are both off on that one. I mean, trust me. Even without Kevin Durant, the ball movement is just so much better for Golden State, and they can play at a high level without Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what's scary.
Yeah. That's the one thing that's kind of like made me think twice about my prediction, just because I was not expecting this switch to just flip as soon as KD went down. Like, I definitely didn't think that.
Yeah, I thought they were going to have some problems with Portland, but, I mean, they steamrolled over him. And like I said, Draymond's playing at a level where he's putting up numbers that only Shaq and Duncan have really ever put up in the playoffs. So he is the X factor against either of these Eastern teams. Yeah, and the money and the contract and all that stuff. And, it's interesting that Klay didn't make NBA All-Team, because now you have Supermax implications. So that probably saves him in terms of maybe exploring outside of there, because – they don't have to pay him that extra $40 million now, so they're probably going to lock him down right away. So there's free agent implications, I think, to just seeing that news today. So, yeah, there's so much to digest, man. I can't wait for the finals to get started, but we have a great series going on right now between the Bucks and Raptors at the same time, and I'd love to see Kawhi go all the way. So,
and with that being said, who's more likely that you think that either Kevin Durant or Klay Thompson to leave Golden State?
That's got to be.
I'm going to go with what's reported in the media and say Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I think he is somebody who's misunderstood. Actually, I've got to know how kind of Kevin operates in his personal life around basketball. Like the stories that are out there about like him inviting people over and showing them Kobe Bryant highlights and talking hoops. Like, he loves to talk hoops. That's why I think people mistake his passion and love for hoops with sensitivity at times. Like, he just wants to be out there and maybe not be a player and just talking hoops all the time and analyzing it, but he has that passion for the game. So I think a lot of people look at that as a weakness, but I actually kind of admire that. And the more stories that I've heard just personally, he loves to just digest hoops and talk hoops. So sometimes maybe it's time to like put the phone down, and I can understand that criticism of him, but I really feel like there's something there that he kind of fulfilled everything he wanted to fulfill with the MVPs and the scoring titles and being the man and like almost getting that ring. And then he went to Golden State. He proved that he can play in an unselfish system. He completely changed his game to win rings. I mean, there's no question of his basketball capabilities, both as a leader and as somebody who can join a system and still continue to win. The interesting thing is, if his basketball legacy is the most important thing to him, would going to somewhere like New York and resurrecting the Garden and bringing a title there put him as on Mount Olympus of the basketball gods, and that's kind of where it's interesting to think about what he wants to do. There's a lot of New York rumors out there. I know the Clippers and Lakers rumors pop up, but I mean, he sold his house in Malibu, which kind of says something.
Wow.
And then also, I think like when you just look at what he wants to do as a basketball player, he's a guy that likes to kind of say F you and prove everybody wrong. And I think when he gets fired up, that's when he plays his best, right? So I don't know. I feel like KD's gone. And I feel like if you're the Warriors, you have to keep Draymond at this point. You have to keep Klay. Klay not getting the Supermax, I think, makes it an easier kind of road for them to do that now. And Draymond's going to ask for, I assume, the max when its time comes up. So they're going to be making 4 times the amount of money in the new stadium up here. So, money's not going to be a shortage in Golden State for sure. But I think Kevin Durant just boils down to what he wants his basketball legacy to be. Right. He can stay in Golden State and maybe rack up 5, 6, 7 championships. It's possible.
Yeah.
Or does he say F you to the basketball world and go to Madison Square Garden, put on that Knicks uniform, and be like, I'm going to resurrect basketball in the place where no one else could do it, and
that's what I want to see.
I want to see it too.
Yeah,
I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be awesome. I want him out of Golden State.
Yeah, get him out of there.
Golden State's run is scaring me, guys. Like,
are you guys watching them right now without him?
Right.
You guys
they don't need
Golden
him.
State without him.
Right. That's my point. Like, I'd love to see, and it's going to be interesting, the narratives, and sometimes unfairly, it's like funny to hear the narrative of like, is Golden State better without KD? It's such a like laughable thing to me, but at the same time, you watch them play right now, and you're like, man, they play at such an elite, high, all-time level. It's crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see what KD does. But I think he's much more likely to leave. I think you have to throw the max at Klay, and the only reason that Klay doesn't stay is if he declines the max, which I don't see happening.
Yeah. No, and I think he went on record pretty much saying that or his people did pretty much saying if he gets any offer lower than that max, he's probably going to end up walking, right?
Yeah, totally.
I'm really hoping they short him like 15 cents or something.
They definitely can. He is arguably the most important player on both ends for that team. Yeah. I mean, he bails out Steph. He bails out the whole team quite a bit offensively, and then defensively, you can switch him. You can put him on a big for a possession. He can hold his own. Like, he can do it all on both ends. And I don't think he gets the credit. And he was pretty peeved about not being all team today. I don't know if you saw the video, but he was rolling his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I think that says a lot, man. So, maybe he does want his challenge of going to his own team and maybe getting that credit, somewhere like, I don't know, Los Angeles. A great place for him to join. Man, it'd be crazy. But I think he's ultimately going to stay a Golden State Warrior.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, real quick, just kind of getting off topic a little bit, just because I have you on here. So, with the news that the All NBA teams came out and LeBron made the third team, right? Where's his rating going to be at next season, man? Are we going to see LeBron at a 93?
Oh man, I don't think you can. I mean, you look at his numbers for old man LeBron, like the media likes to portray him as. I mean, his numbers were as great as they were last year. So I think, for me, I don't have an influence in ratings, or Kobe would always been a 99. That's the facts. But I think our ratings guy is going to look at everything, and ratings are always an interesting thing because there's so much that goes into it. Like, so defensively and offensively, that sometimes plays a factor. So we know LeBron kind of has it on cruise control the last couple of years during the regular season. So do you take that into account, or do you look at like his last playoff run where he was absolutely incredible, even on a defensive end? There's a lot of things you have to toss up. I'm glad I don't do the ratings because it would drive me crazy, to be honest. But I don't think he should drop too far from where he's at, if he drops at all. He had a pretty incredible season, but you have to take in like how many games he played. Yeah, didn't play in the playoffs to really showcase his true prowess. Yeah. But I'm more excited about a healthy LeBron coming into a Lakers season with what the Lakers could look like, which could be very different than how we're like seeing the roster as it is today. So lots of possibilities.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I mean, one of the possibilities that we don't have to wonder about anymore is the head coach. We finally got a head coach. The Lakers introduced Frank Vogel on Monday at the Lakers training facility in El Segundo. But did you guys happen to catch that press conference at all?
Oh, yeah. I have it streaming. Any Laker news, I got like my ESPN, radio streaming in my headset all day. Like, I'm on top of it because there's too much Warriors talk up here. It's not the same as LA. I miss LA in that regard, so I always have LA radio. But yeah, the press conference was I loved everything Vogel said. It was unfortunate that the way that the Lakers handled it, I think it was more geared towards Pelinka and the Magic show. But what Vogel said and what Vogel is saying and how he's perceiving how to coach this team, he's saying everything right, and it's actually I like that we don't have a high profile guy with drama around him coming in and like trying to change the culture. I like everything he's saying. Hearing the word analytics in the organization was like, that was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, about time someone says that.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I didn't know he knew Chinese. Yeah, man. So seeing Vogel up there, for the first time as the Lakers head coach, what was your guys? Well, I know Chris, you already touched a little bit on your impression of Vogel, but prior to this, what was your impression of him prior to joining the Lakers? I mean, did this press conference sway you at all from where you guys were originally at?
Well, he was a great coach when he was in Indiana. So he led Indiana to 4 or 5 game 6s against Miami with LeBron there. Even a game 7 against Miami with LeBron there. And he had him in the top 5 in defense efficiency rating. So he was a great coach there. And then when he went to Orlando, it was kind of an unfortunate situation he went into. They let him go out. I think it was 1 or 2 years that he was there, and then he was just kind of trash. But if you go to his Indiana days, I mean, he was a great coach. So I'm happy with the decision.
Well, as long as we don't have Roy Hibbert pounding the paint,
oh yeah,
I think we'll be good. But I mean, honestly, for me, I just the one thing that I really liked about Frank up there, and honestly, I enjoy the Pacers teams. I love the one thing that I point to when I talk about Paul George is those series. Those series, he took it to LeBron. I mean, I think there was a couple emphatic dunks over LeBron, right, in those series, but they gave them all they could. And obviously, you know, they gave him what they could, but they couldn't overcome that mountain. But to me, the main thing that I really liked about Vogel was the fact that he actually went up there and he was organized, and he was completely clear in the message he was trying to convey to the fans. You know, that's the one thing that really surprised me, because I hadn't really heard him talk too much in the media prior to this. But when I heard him, I was like, okay, cool. I can definitely get behind this guy. One of the things he actually said that I thought emphasized my point was the fact that he said, we need to build togetherness with our organization. I just don't mean with the 15 guys or 17 guys that are going to be in uniform or in the locker room. I'm talking about organizational togetherness, starting with ownership to the front office, to the coaching staff, the players, the trainers, the business side. We're all going to pull in the same direction. Who is this guy, man? This guy, dude, some cojones on him, right?
Yes. It was great. And then 20 questions got directed to Rob Pelinka. So it's unfortunate that, you know, everything kind of time frame wise, it was kind of a weird day. But I think the best thing about that day was, you know, hearing his philosophy on coaching, hearing his philosophy on, you know, the young core, and then how he's going to coach LeBron. And I'm glad you brought up the point about the Heat and the Pacer rivalry, because honestly, nobody could get through LeBron in the East. And when you look back at how much they contended with those Heat teams, they really did challenge those Heat teams in the East. I mean, it stood out year after year how well he coached against LeBron. So you can't really hold that against him.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a super team lining up against David West, George Hill, Paul George, and Roy Hibbert. And the shooting guard, I can't remember who the hell the shooting guard was at the time. But, yeah, man, I mean, those teams gave them everything they could. But, I mean, it wasn't a surprising outcome for sure. But speaking of another thing that actually wasn't a surprise was was Magic Johnson just kind of jumping on First Take that same morning and about an hour before that presser, right? I don't know how you guys felt about it, but Magic, obviously, for those of you guys who were sleeping under a rock for some reason, you know, right before the Lakers went on to introduce Frank Vogel, Magic Johnson went on First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman to speak his truth about the Lakers situation. I got a question for you guys, though. Are you guys buying what Magic was selling?
No.
No, me neither, dude.
You know what? I was 50-50. I kind of believed him a little bit about the backstabbing and all that, and then going directly to Rob. But then at the same time, when Rob came out after that, I was like, whoa, you know what? Maybe he's lying.
I don't think he was lying, but I don't really care if that was the case, man, because that's the case everywhere, man.
Right.
It's alarming to me when I'm sitting here agreeing with Jason Whitlock. Because I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out Jason Whitlock, but Jason Whitlock went in on Magic and was pretty much telling him, like, hey, man, welcome to the real world, you know? People are always angling towards your jobs. People always want what they can't have, or what, you know, just unfortunately Magic was sitting in that position that a lot of people, you know, are aiming for, you know? And I don't feel bad for that.
Yeah, I look at it, I think the really damning thing for Magic was they kind of pulled the receipts out. And when he first was on, I believe, Spectrum with Jeannie Buss, when he first got hired, he was like, you know, I'm putting all my businesses to the side. And then he's now saying, well, I actually was doing my businesses, and Jeannie said it was okay to also do the Laker thing. Now, here's the thing. Magic's Magic. You're not going to win a PR war, you know, ever. And listen, at the end of the day, what Magic's done for the Lakers, the city of Los Angeles, it doesn't matter if he makes the biggest mistakes or walks out on the Lakers and we all hate that aspect of it. He's still Magic Johnson. We still know that he bleeds purple and gold. And I think, like, ultimately this will get resolved over time. But I think more telling is, like, the organization has kind of gone this quiet route. If they pull these superstars in this summer and they win, none of this matters, right? I mean, that's the only thing that matters. So I'm kind of in the optimistic side of everything. I don't think it's a good look, especially before free agents. And more importantly, Magic's a person that's always understood the PR ramifications of very heavy subjects, you know? And it's like, you just would have thought that he would have been smarter to do that if he does care about the Lakers, than to go off and start bashing them and calling them backstabbers and saying, Jeannie's my sister, but I'm going to trash your whole organization. And then I'll be in free agent pitches to get guys to the team that, oh, by the way, they'll backstab you. Like, it's just a little, it's odd, right? So it wasn't a good look in my opinion, but at the end of the day, like, a lot of fans have, like, turned on Magic.
Yeah.
it is what it is. I think if Magic was a little bit of an issue, he's gone now. So I think that's just one step further to going forward. I still love Magic. I was watching the 30 for 30 Lakers Celtics last night. I was getting teary-eyed watching that skyhook, the 86, 87 runs were just amazing. So it's like, I'm kind of over it at this point as a Lakers fan. I think, it was definitely weird. And, as a Lakers fan, it was kind of eye-opening. But at the same time, it will really be revealing if the Lakers don't sign a free agent and they strike out this summer. Because a lot of the moves they did last year, like Magic and Rob, for as much heat as they take, they cleared the cap space. They got rid of Mozgov and Deng. They brought in young talent. They drafted well later in rounds. They did some really great things that put us in a position today that even with all this drama, we got the best player on the planet, arguably. And we also have all this cap space, the number 4 pick, which is luck, but we got that too. Mm-hmm. Young trade assets, if you want to go that route, or we could bring in another young asset and keep building for the future. So we have flexible options, and we didn't have that 2 years ago when Kupchak and was kind of still in control and Jim Buss and all that stuff. So we've done some really great things. They've done some really great things. I think we need to credit them for. And I know everybody goes back to, okay, Chris, what about last year on all those 1-year deals? All those 1-year deals were all deals that were circled for this July. Yeah, this was all meant for this July. So they're still within the plan. So, the Lakers have to come through and get these players around LeBron and hopefully make a deal that's a blockbuster. I still think they should pursue Anthony Davis, but if they don't, I hope they have a backup plan, So there's so many things that they can do, and that's the nice thing. We are in a flexible situation. So I do think fans are a little bit tough on the organization and definitely on Magic. But at the same time, it's just not a good look. I understand both sides of the story. But he's Magic Johnson. He's LA. He's the Lakers. I'm glad we're moved on from the situation now. It's just a weird look to go on national TV and kind of to go off that, in that direction and kind of make that choice.
I think the worst part, the part that kind of bothers me the most is the fact that Magic actually had dinners with Jeannie Buss and the organization. They approached him and they said, "Is there anything we should know about you going on First Take or what you're going to say?" And he just smiled at them and said, No, nothing. And then he goes on First Take and just blasts the organization. That bothers me. Why can't, if you have an issue or a problem with one of them, speak up, You gotta have accountability and responsibility for your actions. And I don't like that.
I have an idea. He should have probably taken this to the president of basketball operations. He could have probably done something about this, man.
Yeah, I feel like, within any organization, you're going to have drama, especially when organizations are losing, right? We see coaches get fired all the time, unfairly, unjustly, in my opinion. But that's kind of what the business is, So it was just disappointing, as a fan. It was just the whole situation is just disappointing. It's not like I'm mad. It's not like I'm upset. It's just disappointing. It's like you thought Magic would have the PR know-it-all to maybe be a little smarter, And that's what I'm saying. He does.
I would counter that, dude, because like you said, he's got the PR. He's got that PR savvy, right? One thing that I don't know if you got a chance to listen to Kendrick Perkins on Joy Taylor's podcast a couple days ago. But one of the things that he mentioned was that Magic went out there to protect his brand. And that hit so hard with me when he said that, because that's the main thing that Magic is a savvy businessman. And he's walking away from the Lakers, and the one thing he's going to do is he's going to protect his brand. So to me, him coming out here and saying this stuff, I've never ever seen Magic so insecure. And it just reeked of a guy who just was not getting his way, And I'm not saying that Magic was completely to blame and all this stuff, because the Lakers for sure had their fair share of blame to go around. But this whole facade that he was presenting was just laughable, dude. And you touched on a couple of points with the fact that he says Ginny's a sister, he loves the Lakers and all that stuff, but he knew how much damage this was going to do. And I don't think there's definitely no coincidence that he happened to plan this literally right before that press conference. No way. I'm not buying that at all. He says he said what Rob wanted his job. Jesse and Joy wanted more power. Tim Harris wanted more influence, right? That sounds about right. That's what it is, right? I mean, I don't know. And then what he said, the straw that broke the camel's back was him wanting to fire Luke and being overruled, right? But through the fact that he wasn't able to fire Luke, he just literally threw a fit and said, all right, I'm not having fun, so I'm out of here, which is just pretty much code for I didn't get my way, right? Because he thought he was going to have more influence than whatever he thought he was going to have. But, you know, I love Magic, but I've never, ever seen this side of him. Like, it kind of humanized him to me in a way, but not in a good way.
Yeah, well, you know, if can you imagine going into the office and he's trying to fire Luke, and all of a sudden you got Tim Harris sitting across from him and Linda Rambis. You're like, hey, I'm the president of basketball operations. I'm gonna make this decision, and you got Tim Harris and Linda Rambis overpowering you. I mean,
well, but let's put it this way though, Adele. Let's say, you know, let's get an example in here. So let's say, you know, we're on Showtime Forum. Let's say I'm in and out. I show up 2-3 times a month, you know, and I pop in and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And then you handle Twitter, right? So, And then all of a sudden I'm jumping in and I'm like, hey, man, so this is what we're going to do with Twitter and blah, 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 and this and that. How seriously can you take me if you know that I'm not around? You know,
but you're the man, right?
You're
the guy in charge.
But so what? But I want your job.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, let's say Greg Bergman, he's the guy, right? If he comes in and says, this is how it's going to be, we got to go how it's going to be.
I can't wait to host the Showtime Forum, dude. Post game. I can't wait.
There could also be the opposite effect of that. Like in a workplace, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, where sometimes there is just too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
Right? And sometimes you try to have this common goal, but you can't really get there when everybody's kind of arguing and not having a decision made. You know, and sometimes that's a lack of leadership, or it's just flawed leadership, you know? So we don't really know exactly what it is, but you know, there's one thing that will cure all of this, and that's they sign a Kawhi Leonard or get an Anthony Davis here. Guess what? No one cares.
This is all an afterthought.
It's all an afterthought.
Nobody cares.
That's why like all these Laker fans are like really steamed to Magic and really mad at the organization. Like Vogel was taking so much heat, and I'm like, I was actually in the camp of, is Tyronn Lue really that much better of a coach than Frank Vogel?
Yeah.
I mean, you can make some arguments for it, but like, is it really true? So I don't know. I just think angry Laker fans are angry right now, and we have to like put things in perspective. Like, we won a title 9 years ago, which sounds like a long time for Lakers fans, but we also, you know, are going through this rebuild phase, and I'm not saying they're doing everything right, and like we've been on this great track, but lots of franchises have never touched on greatness. So I guess for people like me who got to live through the, you know, so many championships and the whole entire Kobe run, and having just this recent memory, like when my memories of the Lakers are at best, that's like what drives me in my life. You know, that passion for the Lakers, that passion for sports.
Yeah. Some
of these fans just need to like calm down a little bit. Let's get through July 1st. And, you know, it's going to go both ways. Either we're going to be celebrating and complete, you know, just happiness, or it's going to be a really tough scene if we don't land anybody. Then we can start to criticize. And, you know, then I think the Lakers are in a very awful position. But I don't think it's going to get to that. We have so many flexible options. And that's, people need to put things in perspective, I think, just a little bit, because there's a lot of angry fans out there.
No, for sure. But, you know, through all of this, there is a silver lining you could kind of take away from this entire, like, I mean, I feel like ordeal isn't the right word. I feel it's kind of underselling it. But through this entire thing, I mean, the silver lining is that the front office through all of this has been pretty tight. They've been pretty low key. They've been pretty tight lipped. I would honestly say they've probably been as unified as they've been in a while. Even with going back to Magic, I mean, you haven't heard a peep really from the front office. You've heard like the media, you've heard the fans for sure, 100%. But through all of it, you know, everybody's saying we want to hear what's going on. You don't really need to, because I mean, if I own the Lakers, I don't really care what you think. I mean, I'm going to do what I think is best. And if I can't, it's like Magic said. Magic said he wanted to fire Luke because he wanted to go out with his guy, right? So it's kind of the same thing with the Lakers at this point. If they're going to go out, Jeannie's going to go out the way she wants to go out. Why is she going to go out literally just kind of swaying with public opinion? Because public opinion in LA changes by the hour.
Yeah, but I disagree with that one, because Jeannie Buss was at the press conference sitting upstairs. She could have at least been down there having some support. Her brother was down there. The brothers were there. I don't know who else was there, but LeBron James was there, and that's a lot. So I think Jeannie Buss, she's the owner right now, and she should be the one that's speaking to kind of calm these fans down a little bit, because we have no sense of leadership. Vogel was the first guy to talk, and then Rob. And Rob was kind of beating around the bush on these questions. Yeah, he was answering them, but I feel like he wasn't kind of giving that sense of calmness for us or any of the Laker fans. We want to hear from Jeannie.
I mean, I thought Rob was great. I mean, if I can actually quote one of my favorite Bible verses real quick, I can go ahead and touch on. I thought Rob was great. I mean, Rob said what he had to say, man. He knew. That's the thing with Rob is like people say whatever we want to say. He's a snake, whatever that stuff, right? And remember, I touched on this and I said maybe we need a little bit of that, like sleaziness in the backgrounds. I mean, business sometimes can be like that, right?
It's also there is one other thing about Rob that's funny to me. All these fans, like you ask any Laker fan today, and he wouldn't do this, by the way. I've said this on Twitter. Kobe has no intention of getting back involved in the Laker basketball, right? He'll recruit, but I've worked with Kobe before, and just knowing what he's doing now, what he's accomplishing now, there's like probably 0% chance he comes and works in a capacity for the Lakers in that kind of way, full-time Laker job. That being said, if you ask a fan, would you want Kobe to get involved? I guarantee you like 99% of them are like, yeah, we want Kobe to run the show, right? But then they're like, we hate Rob. Well, why do you hate Rob? Well, we don't know. We don't know. We hate Rob because Magic's left and he called a mistake, right? And
because we're told to hate Rob.
I'm saying, don't you trust a little bit that like Kobe's boy was Rob for his whole career? And don't you trust a little bit that like we're going into the plan and what they said and what they promised was this July 1st was always the circled plan. This is plan A, B, C. Have a little faith. And, we see stories right now. Kobe's talking to Kyrie. So, Pelinka's in Kobe's ear and vice versa. There's some stuff in play. I think that's going to be good for us. I just think it's kind of funny. Like people lose faith in that. I find it funny that people are like, yeah, we love Kobe, but nah, not Rob Pelinka. And I understand he has to prove himself as a general manager, but I'm just saying, like, it's not all turmoil and as bad as people are making it out to be right now. Like we're one of the 4 or 5 teams that have 2 max slots or near 2 max slots, to sign people. We have the flexibility, and again, that's important to have. So I get it. The perception is people don't like Rob Pelinka. Yeah. But at the same time, like. I don't see the resentment that makes sense for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you trust, like you said, if you trust Kobe and he was able to have a magnificent career with Rob Pelinka by his side, right? I mean, why can't we? Why can't we? I don't get it. I mean, I get it.
You don't buy that. You don't buy that GMs and executives don't like Rob.
Oh, sure. I'm sure they do.
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
That perception is out there, so we're kind of sad.
Remember what I said, and you guys laughed at me. Remember, Adele? I said, what does it matter? If there's a deal to be made, they're going to make the deal.
Exactly.
And you guys all laughed at me when I said that. And I said, if there's a deal on the table, it doesn't matter if you like Rob. You're going to make that deal.
Well, at that point, they were hanging up on him.
So, call back.
They want to speak Magic. They don't even want to speak to Rob.
And, you could probably blame the NFL refs. And I'm sure the Rams and Saints game didn't help our cause of getting Anthony Davis, as petty as that is. But here's the thing. You know what looks nice to a team? Probably not Rob Pelinka, but Rob Pelinka plus a 4th pick plus young assets looks pretty damn nice. So, I think you can get to a point where I agree with you. You get the deal done. It doesn't matter. I mean, the Lakers and Celtics have made a deal in the past before, right? So if that can happen, anything can happen in the NBA. Nothing would surprise me. But yeah, I mean, even if people don't like him, they still have an opportunity at the young assets we have. We have a number 4 pick. I guarantee you teams have called about that number 4 pick already. Guaranteed. So it doesn't matter if you like him or don't like him. It's what you're going to do that's best for your team. And I think ultimately it boils down to that. And yeah, maybe there is some pettiness from the New Orleans side. And, I have this debate all the time. Should they trade Anthony Davis now? Like, would you want to keep maybe that toxicity or perceived toxicity that Davis has? You put him in a room with Zion, presumably they draft Zion. Mm-hmm. You put him in a room with Zion. Hey, what's it like in New Orleans? Well, I want out, and they tried to build around me for 7 years. Is that going to be the best kind of thing to put around Zion? So they have a decision to make. I've been saying this. If I was the Pelicans, I know I'm going off on a little tangent. If I was the Pelicans, I would make a deal with New York, get the 3rd pick up RJ Barrett, and put Barrett and Zion as my future. And that would be like unquestionably what I would do right now. But do they value some of the Knicks assets? Reports are no, but you know who Griffin does like? Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. That's on record now before he was a GM there, and now we're seeing these stories as he's the GM there. Just throwing it out there. Like anything can happen in the NBA. So it's very interesting. And once you have players that have value and you have that 4 pick, I mean that 4 pick was godsend, obviously.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have got the number 1 pick. I was definitely not bummed about the number 4 pick.
Even the top 3.
Oh man, it was amazing. So
when we got in the top 5, I wasn't really all that into it until we got in that. As soon as we got in the top 5, I was like front and center, staring at the screen like, oh my, is this about to happen? Is this
like a 9% chance, right, to get into the top 5 or top 4 lottery? I think it was a 9% chance. So
to get into the top 4,
4.
I think it was like 2.8. No,
it's 2.8 for 1, 2, and 3, and altogether it was like 9.4.
Yeah, 9.4. Then it was like an 88% chance that we got the 11th pick. So it just to even bypass 11. When I didn't see the Laker logo at 11, I was freaking out at home. I was like, man, it felt like a recent championship for our team after everything that's gone on. I was like, this feels like a title right now. Number 4, let's go. We needed that.
Man, how we have fallen. How we have fallen in last. We're sitting here watching the lottery, just rooting away, right?
It's just different now, because that's going to be packaged up, I think. Ultimately, I do think they're going to package that up for something. I don't think they're going to keep the pick, but again, we have the avenues of building towards the future, keeping the team currently as it is, or making a package deal. So having that flexibility plus the cap space is really exciting because anything can happen on draft night.
Just for fun, if we kept that number 4 pick, who's the guy you're picking at number 4? I just want to know because I'm a huge Garland fan.
So it's tough because I say Garland, but I have a feeling the Knicks are going to mess this up, and RJ Barrett's going to be available. So
that would be insane.
I just have that feeling. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as much basketball as I consume, truthfully, like I don't watch that much college sports because players are in and out all the time. So when there is like a Zion or like a team that's really great, I love just watching, and I'm not like connected to any team. So for me, just based on what I've seen from Garland, he can shoot and he can defend, and he's very versatile. So he's kind of the guy I'm eyeing. I know that's a cliche answer, but I know RJ Barrett shot like 30% from the field from 3. I know a lot of people are kind of turned off by his shooting, but man, that is a playmaker. But do we really need a playmaker right now?
No, do we really need a playmaker that young? That
young, right? I still say I would
package that.
Lonzo is the guy I'm riding with. Unless we have to give him up in a trade for Anthony Davis or something like that. AD's the only guy I'm trading Lonzo for, by the way. I'm not trading any of these kids for anything else. If there's anything else, I don't think the contract's worth it. And I think you have to explore Beal if you strike out in free agency.
Okay.
Which also means that 4th pick, whoever we pick, they would have to be interested in it as well. So I think there's a little bit of a risk for going after Beal. I don't think it makes sense to go after him right now. And if we go after him right now because he's not eligible for the Supermax, that means we could lose him in a year. So there's a lot of weird implications again from that all NBA team thing. If you start thinking about like cap and the money owed and the flexibility and all that stuff. Yeah. I think Beal would be amazing beside LeBron. And he would help this team immediately. I kind of see him as like our CJ McCollum type player. But I don't know if he's worth going after with what we could potentially have. Now, if we strike out and everything, I think Beal's a great piece to go after.
That's fair.
And it'll be interesting to see what the Wizards do with him.
Yeah, because especially if you have RJ Barrett at number 4 and you are the Washington Wizards, do you turn down the Lakers? Do they say, hey, we'll take Bradley Beal off your hands for this last year for this number 4 pick? Because, I mean, if I'm the Washington Wizards, I'm probably saying, hey, RJ Barrett might look pretty nice next to John Wall, right?
Let him mature. Yeah, that's the thing. It depends on what New York does. So I think like it's not all like in our hands, obviously, but there's a lot of weird things that could happen. I just have a feeling the Knicks are going to mess this up again, and
they're going to get cameras.
I have that feeling, and I feel so bad for Knicks fans, man. Like I feel weird. I've been to a game at the Garden. When you've walked into the Garden, it's like you feel like that magic. It's like that, like you just feel that energy that's just different, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
So like I want to root for the Knicks, but it's like, come on, man. I want to like see the Garden get back and booming. Same with Chicago. Same with the Lakers. I want all the big. Look how good the NBA is doing with what they are, what they're building on, and then look at the 3 main top, biggest markets. The Bulls, the Lakers, and the Knicks are just at the bottom right now. Imagine if those 3 teams were booming. That's why it was kind of exciting to see if, Zion was going to be a Knick or whatnot. It is what it is. But I hope they do something. Maybe they go after Anthony Davis. Who knows? Who knows what happens with the Knicks? But it could open up RJ Barrett at the 4, and like you said, that could open up a lot of possibilities of phones calling, phones ringing for the Lakers of teams that are interested in that pick specifically. So it's going to be really interesting come draft night.
Well, because speculation is one thing, but when it's presented in front of you, it's a completely different ballgame. When you got that number 4 pick sitting there, and you get a call from the Lakers and like, hey, you got RJ Barrett sitting here. We'll give you this pick, ship off Bradley Beal. I mean, John Wall is out pretty much for the season, I believe, right? With that injury that he had, or at least it's going to take a while for him to get back, at least, right? So, I mean, at this point, they can kind of pretty much say that this next season is shot. So, I mean, as the Wizards, I would probably roll the dice. I mean, most likely you're going to lose Bradley Beal unless you have some kind of different something in the back channels that you've been working on with him. But I don't know, man. It's just it's a tough scenario to turn down if you're the Wizards. Just like if you're, I know all these narratives with free agents and whatnot, but let's say the Lakers go in and say, hey, Kobe, we need you to step in and, pitch in on this meeting with Kawhi. If I'm Kawhi Leonard and I'm sitting here across the table from Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, you got 8 chips between them, right? And Kawhi obviously has had his chips and whatever, but it's kind of hard to disregard, obviously, what's out in the media. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to disregard the success that's right in front of you, right? And these guys are like, we've been successful for 20 some odd years, 15 plus years. We know what we're doing. You need to go here, right? And I think that Monty piece today where he was kind of like praising Genie a little bit helped a ton. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But I think to me that speaks volumes, I think, to a person like Kawhi, who's to me seems like a really simple guy. He knows what he wants. Doesn't really want more than he needs. He just he kind of goes about his life, and it is what it is. He is what he is, and he's gonna roll around in his '97 Tahoe, and
That's why I don't think that would be any kind of impression for him. Like, it wouldn't be impressive to him to see Kobe and LeBron across from him. Like you say, he drives his 1997 Tahoe still. Toronto.
Actually, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but I heard he actually rolls around the '97 Tahoe while he's on his T-Mobile Sidekick.
Oh man, I need that back. I need that phone back.
Rumors.
Old school.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's in the '97 Tahoe and nothing's impressing him, I mean, in Toronto they're offering him a skyloft out there and free food forever for life, and he doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to be himself near Riverside and kind of just chills. That's why I think the Clippers are the most the option that's kind of like he's leaning towards. They're in the driver's seat, in my opinion.
Here's what I keep telling people about Kawhi. What has changed? So here's the thing. The Spurs came out and said specifically, we don't want to trade him to the Lakers. So that confirms that he wanted to be a Laker. Okay, so let's take some of the speculation out of it. Mm-hmm. What has changed from that point in time to now? And even theoretically, if they went on and won the finals and won a ring, what has changed from that point to this point where Kawhi all of a sudden doesn't want to be a Laker? And that's the thing that nobody can answer, because to me it's like he wants to come home. And that's it. And yes, the Clippers are in the running, sure. I mean, Jerry West, I'd never bet against Jerry West. I'm really bummed the Lakers didn't reach out to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, LeBron went over to Philadelphia and met with him for a reason. I think there's a reason LeBron's talking to players, as reported today, Jimmy Butler and Kawhi specifically, and I think there's a reason that Kobe is talking to Kyrie specifically, mending relationships. Kobe knows something about a tumultuous relationship, but winning rings. It's interesting to me. I don't think the Clippers are in such a front runner spot as the media is making them out to be. I also don't think that it's not like a big unlikely possibility they sign there. I think it's Clippers or Lakers to me. Like, it's pretty clear. You don't offer up a man the entire city unless you're feeling kind of a which way about him. And I think like they kind of know Kawhi's heading out after this season, and they're doing everything they can. I mean, think about how much they're offering Toronto. He's going to have a free life living in Canada. Yeah. And remember, a man that wants to come back to California, to his home, grew up in Riverside, played in San Diego, obviously wants to play for the Lakers. That's noted, because the Spurs came out and said specifically we're not trading with the Lakers. If you think about all that, the dude's playing in Canada. I mean, he's playing in a different country. I think the chances of him coming back home are pretty strong at this point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I've had that feeling the entire time. I just everybody's Clippers, all this stuff. Yeah, but when money exchanges hands, or when there's favors being thrown around in the background, the media narrative can change rather quickly, especially when you're offered, sources and inside information and whatnot. I mean, it's easy for somebody who, I'm not going to say Brian Windhorst, but I'm just going to use them as an example. Like,
right.
It's easy for someone like that who obviously they have their own agendas because they're trying to build their own platforms, their own whatever they got going on. It's easy for that to sway, but as Laker fans, we're just, I don't know how else to put it other than we're just easily swayed.
Yeah, big time.
So easily swayed.
Yeah, and there's a lot of media reports too that are just simply not true that come out, and you see that with the Warriors, you see that with the Lakers. They like to topple these teams. Why? Because of ratings. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying fake news and all that crap, but like there are reports that it could just be as simple like, oh, I heard this, an agent says this, I have the best interest of this player, then all of a sudden it gets twisted into this like very nonsensical, non-truthful story that was based on it's like, look at the Chris Broussard and KD thing, right? Oh, I text KD. KD responds back, you don't have my number. And then Broussard's like, Instagram, Twitter DMs, right? Like, these are private messages, right? Like, just a little small thing of, hey, I text KD, can it be turned into this, like, big thing?
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, no, it was a DM over a text, right? That kind of stuff I think happens a lot, and especially with the Lakers. ESPN loves to talk about LeBron, and you see that with the Warriors a lot. Everybody's trying to break up the Warriors in the media, which I love, but there is a lot of false stories that come out of that because people want to try to plant things to create, I don't know, tension or and Lakers obviously draw ratings in for everybody, so why not?
Yeah. Well, a perfect example is that Jeannie Buss story where supposedly people close to her were telling her to trade LeBron, right? And then it turned out to be some random person in her spin class. That's
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and people think of it through a basketball lens, but look at the optics of what they're doing in terms of bringing in revenue. It's Staples Center sold out every night. They're bringing, LeBron's jersey is the number one selling jersey. LeBron's been able to bring all these brand deals to the Lakers and to his own brand and building what he's doing in Los Angeles outside of basketball, which I don't mind, by the way, because when a person puts in the work that he does on the court, I don't really care if they're doing stuff off the court. Like, you'll never see anybody questioning LeBron's work ethic, ever, So I don't care what he does off the court. Well, I wouldn't. But you know what I'm saying? Just generally, though, LeBron's a guy that's like working on his craft as well as all this extracurricular stuff, if you want to call it that. But I just think a lot of the stories just get twisted and get very dramatic quickly when it comes to the Lakers, and that goes on. Just me having friends that work in the media and hearing things behind the scenes, that I don't like share publicly, but. You quickly find out how stuff gets completely just built on and takes a turn for the dramatic worse,
But that's the beauty of the NBA. That the NBA they bring you in, and they make you forget that whole aspect where it's a business, and ultimately they want eyes on their product, and that's what it is, So a lot of people just kind of get so wrapped up in it that they forget, like, oh yeah, that's right, they want my money, right?
Right,
so
right.
But I mean, and I know we're talking about, narratives being twisted and whatnot, but there was one narrative that I heard yesterday that could not be twisted at all, and it kind of goes back to that Kendrick Perkins interview with Joy Taylor on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast, right? I'm going to go ahead and just read this. There was a specific quote that he was talking about Kyrie Irving. Well, one, he was sitting there saying that you could tell that his teammates didn't like playing with him. That's one thing, right? And that's not, I guess, surprising because there was a lot of rumblings about that throughout the season, right? But there was one specific quote where he was like, he was talking about, Kyrie's, I guess, his tenure in Boston, but he was saying, you go to Boston, you're the number one option. You make all these promises. Oh, I'm gonna sign back. I'm this. You're carrying yourself like you're Kobe Bryant, which you're not, and it shows. So you're not you're not a number one option. You're not a Batman. You're good with another star. And he couldn't take the heat. And I thought, there's no way you could spin that, dude. He nailed it like right on the head. And I'm going to go on the record and just say I hated Kendrick Perkins as a player. I mean, all time, like one of my most hated players in any sport. Throw him in there with what's his face, Patrick Beverley, dude. I can't stand that guy either, but I'll take him on our team. But I'm saying that's one thing you definitely cannot twist, right? But knowing that and hearing some of the stuff he said where, after they got eliminated, he was kind of shrugging it off like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to tune in and watch, I forget who was saying, like Giannis or something in the playoffs. But knowing that, does that change how you prioritize Kyrie this offseason with the available free agents?
It's a tough one. Again, it's like, what's the first domino to fall? Are you calling Kyrie right away or are you calling Kawhi? I think Kyrie's going to take his time. I don't think Kyrie has a team set that he's like, July 1st, I'm signing. I'm announcing I'm signing with this team. I think he's going to take a meeting with the Nets. I think he's going to take a meeting with the Clippers, Lakers.
Yeah.
I think he's going to look at the Knicks. I just don't see Kyrie at this stage being like, I'm going to make a quick decision and go here. So to me, I think you definitely set up the meeting with him and you reach out. And I know LeBron has, and reportedly they've gotten through some stuff recently, and Kobe's talking to him. And I think you have to sell Kyrie on the idea of like, hey, you can take the pressure off being the primary ball handler and scorer. If you play alongside Lonzo, you get to just be a scorer. And what he can do when he saves that energy. And Kobe's in his ear saying, go play with a guy that can give you the ball in your hands. And you have LeBron. And we're going to go after AD. And, we're going to go after Kawhi. I think he sits and waits and just kind of sees how I don't think he's necessarily the first domino. So, I know a lot of fans are against giving Kyrie the max, obviously. But again, I don't think you have to make that the first domino. Hopefully I'm right about that. I hope it's not a thing of like, he wants to come in and it's like max or nothing, or I'm not coming here. Yeah. I think he's smart enough to know, though, for his own career, his own success, and how he performed in the playoffs this past season. I think he's a smart enough guy to know, I want to go put myself in a position to be the best player I can be. And when you start thinking about that, running alongside Lonzo, alongside LeBron, if you get like a third superstar there this offseason, and the pursuit of AD is there, I mean, it's pretty compelling to kind of think of what Kyrie could maximize in terms of his basketball capabilities in that kind of role and situation.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read Kyrie. He's kind of one of those kind of not weird guys, but kind of to himself. You don't really know what he wants or what he wants to do. I think he's going to be strategic, and he's going to have a meeting with a bunch of these guys, these teams, 4 or 5 teams maybe. I think all these guys that are free agents, I think they all have 2 or 3 teams they're thinking about. And they're going to narrow it down as the weeks go by. But I think they'll know by June 30th. They're all going to know already what they're going to do. But I still think they're going to have a meeting with all these teams.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think if he's going to play that game, he's going to play the waiting game and kind of if at this point, if I'm the Lakers, I don't wait for him if that's the game he plays. I go out and I make my moves because I know we've gone back and forth on Showtime Forum about this, but I honestly have him as a second tier guy, free agent in this off-season class of free agents, I guess. I mean, I got Kawhi, KD. You got Kawhi, KD, and I'm missing somebody. Who else am I missing here as a free agent? I think Kawhi and KD are probably the only guys that you can really say are in that upper tier. And then after that, you drop into the Kyrie. Honestly, I would personally take Jimmy Butler. What's up, David?
Over Kyrie?
Over Kyrie, easily. And like O'Shea Jackson says, it's not even close, right?
I don't know about that one. I definitely take Kyrie over Jimmy.
Put it this way. If Jimmy Butler, the things that I love about Jimmy Butler, let me go with my diary real quick.
You got to look at it like, is Jimmy Butler a face of the franchise type guy?
You don't need that.
He is. No, but
you don't need it.
If Kyrie Irving is that type of guy, you can put on your franchise. He can be the face. Are you serious?
He's not. He's not a face of the franchise kind of guy, dude. He's not. He was the face of the franchise in Cleveland, and how did that go?
Yeah, because he wanted his own team. He was butting heads with LeBron.
But
he went to Boston, and they were making him the face of the franchise. But that team is just not suited well around Kyrie.
Dude, before LeBron came back, Kyrie was whining that he wanted out until all of a sudden they put the money in front of him. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm good. Then LeBron comes through. He gets to the pinnacle. And all of a sudden, he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too, which is fine. I get it. He doesn't want to be caught in that storm, the LeBron storm, right? But then he goes to Boston. He's drama, dude. He's drama. And my issue with Kyrie is that he doesn't play the defense that Jimmy Butler does, right? And even if Jimmy Butler's even if his skills start to deteriorate, which they probably are going to start to deteriorate in the next some odd years, he's still a grinder, and he still wants it more than I can say Kyrie wants it. Kyrie, to me, he's not that guy that I can say, oh, he wants it. He's going to lay it out on the line. Yeah, he's got I'm a Kobe guy and Mamba mentality, but I haven't seen that from him to the point where he's leaving it all on the court. I mean, this offseason's a perfect example after they got eliminated, where he's sitting there saying, oh, whatever. It's not a big deal. I mean, when would you ever see Kobe say that?
That's the kind of guy he is, though. That's the kind of guy he is.
And
what superstar doesn't cry? Every superstar's a crybaby. They all kind of whine here and there.
So it just depends on what you're whining about. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that. But to me, the problem is that when things go bad, he goes farther south. instead of actually trying to help, you know. And I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is like the answer to everything, but you don't need a face of the franchise. You need a guy that's going to fit in with LeBron and fit in with the core, and he's going to do his stuff. And what Jimmy wants is he wants to see that everybody else around him is grinding as hard as he is. As long as he sees that, which honestly I think our young core does, I don't think he's got a problem with that. I definitely don't, and I just don't see it, man. He's the type of guy that when the playoffs start, his intensity level goes up. His play goes up a notch because of the playoffs. And Kyrie maybe does as well, but Kyrie defensively is just more of a liability in my opinion. And I think with LeBron's, you know, defensive liabilities or his defensive deficiencies, you have to put as many defensive-minded guys around him, I think. And I mean, what do I know?
Based off of age alone, I'm giving a 4-year contract to Kyrie at 27, 28 over Jimmy Butler at 30 years old. I'm just saying, 4 years, that's a big.
I mean, that's great. I mean, Caruso's way younger than that, so go ahead and max him out. You know, if we're talking about age.
I think the Clippers are going to – I think Butler to the Clippers makes a lot more sense than even for the Lakers. I'm not the biggest – how should I put this? I don't know if Butler's attitude is right for a young team.
I think our young squad has gone through a ton this week, this year.
That's true. That's true.
That I will give. One thing that happened through this whole season is I feel like the maturity level in our guys just like jumped a few
skyrocketed.
Yeah, oh yeah, they saw a lot of stuff that I don't think they were planning on seeing this year for sure.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, it's interesting. The Butler thing's going to be interesting. I think he'll ultimately go to the Clippers. I have this feeling the Clippers are going to be able to sell him on his play style, his grittiness. Like him and Beverly make a lot of sense to me. You know what I mean? Like that kind of play style. So I'm not saying I don't want a Jimmy Butler, but I'm with you. I think you make the call to KD. I think you make the call to Kawhi. It would be amazing. I think Kawhi Leonard is the number one priority and should be for the Lakers. They have to try to sell Kyrie because Kawhi could be given the keys to the franchise, and there's your guy. And then remember, you have LeBron, you have Kawhi. They probably go and try to get or pull off an Anthony Davis trade at that point. So depending on who they sign, they can move the pieces, right? Yeah. Like you get Kyrie, is Lonzo now tradable? You know, I'm not saying I want to do that because I think I think whatever you do, you try to keep Lonzo. Yeah. In any of these deals, I've been saying that since day one. Like try to keep Lonzo for any deal that you possibly can. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, that what is the first domino? Because I don't think it's going to be as clear cut. I think these guys will have their decisions made, but I don't think it's going to be like last year where it's like everybody's going for the money and like Paul George immediately goes and signs with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be we're going to meet with a couple teams and make our decision within a week or two. Yep. I just have that feeling it's going to be like everybody's going to be on top of it, so excited for free agency to start that it starts and everybody's like, oh, okay, we're waiting just for something to happen. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the first domino is, and I think that affects all the teams. I think KD is obviously the first domino to fall out of anybody, and I guess Kawhi too, but KD holds all the power kind of in his hands, I think, when you talk about the shift of the balance of the league.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I'm hoping we could pull off a little bit of reverse psychology with KD. Because nobody's talking about him coming to LA, and I'm wondering if he's on social media saying, "Hey, man, how come nobody's talking about me?" You know, I'll show them.
I'm sure his sensitive ass is.
Watch me line up next season next to LeBron. We'll see what's up then, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't see it happening. From everything I've heard, it's the Knicks all the way. But Zion, that was kind of during the Zion. We hope he gets there kind of period. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's definitely been an eventful week, but I mean that's pretty much every week in Lakerland, right?
Yes.
But, yeah. So I mean, I think at this point that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us today. I want to go ahead and thank Mr. Chris Manning for joining us today. You can follow him on Twitter at LD2K. Don't forget, you can also catch him on 2K TV. How often do you guys go ahead and put that out there?
We are every Friday, but we are wrapping up our season finale actually next week on the 31st. So we'll have our season finale then, and then we will have, I don't know how much I can say here, but we'll have a couple specials during the summertime that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those a lot.
That's cool.
And actually before we get off, just real quick, Obviously, there was that whole rumor a couple weeks ago about Kyrie jumping on 2K when his Lakers. I got a question for you because I've been trying to figure this out. How do you go about getting that NBA icon above your head? What's the process for that? Who has to submit what? Who approves it? Yeah. How does that even come about?
So we do verify NBA players, and there's actually a page. I believe it's on like 2K supports page. Might be wrong about that, but there's a page that has a list of all the NBA players' gamer tags and the official what system they're on and who they are. That was not Kyrie's gamer tag.
Man,
it was a weird troll thing that happened, but it wasn't Kyrie. And this person posed as Kyrie and some other players. Actually, it was very smart, and it was through one of the verified players' accounts. So basically, it was a big troll job, which was kind of amazing. I was hoping it was true. Like I was. As soon as I saw that, I was on the phone with some of our producers being like,
"Oh man,
is this Kyrie? Is this really him?" Because I fell for it too. So unfortunately, it wasn't Kyrie, but it was one hell of a troll. But the cool thing about that mode is that we do have verified NBA players. So when you're on our neighborhood or our park mode, you have like 100 my players running around, and you can have them interact with VIPs and celebrities that usually have stars by their name. If they work at 2K like myself or their developers, they'll have a 2K logo, so you're playing with like some of the developers. And then we'll have the NBA logo by NBA players, so you'll be playing with the NBA guys. And it's really cool to see like NBA players interact with fans on 2K.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go, certain players, like we've talked to certain players where they want to have a group of people following them around, and they love like all the clout and all the people running behind them and trying to play them in games, just like taking on the community. And then there's players that are like, I don't want that verification. I want to be incognito, and I don't want to be, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be myself. I want to be my player who's
I want to be a 5'2" center.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I find that the other funny thing real quick that I'll share is like the forwards and the centers in the NBA. What kind of my players do you have? They always tell us, "Oh, I have a point guard because I like to pass and I like to shot because I don't get the ball in real life." And then you'll have point guards being like, "I'm a big because I don't get the bucket. I don't get I want to get the ball and like bully people around." So it's funny that like NBA players kind of have this like dream of how they could be like in their own kind of mind, So that's what's really cool about the game. But that Kyrie thing was very clever. Never seen that done before, but we took care of that person that trolled, and
got us.
I'm glad I asked that question.
That was a good one.
I was right there with you, man. I was hoping it was Kyrie. I was like on cloud 9 for a minute. I was like, "Yo, is this for real?"
Yeah, I was like, "Oh man, he's setting us up for the shop easily."
Yeah, the best I could say is like check out the verified page where it says all their gamer tags. That's the best way you can tell if somebody's for real. And that was quite an innovative thing, but unfortunately it's not the real Kyrie as we had his gamer tag posted on there.
I got one last question real quick. How long does it take you to make those Alley Avengers videos?
Oh yeah.
So the first one took me quite a bit actually. I was working with Golden Knight, who does graphics for you guys, who's awesome, by the way. Follow him on Twitter. He really came through. I had this idea like, hey, I want to put LeBron in a warm-up Laker jacket. I think that would really get like people excited for this video. So when you ask somebody to do something like that, there's 30 frames per second in video editing, and what you have to do is you have to do what's called keyframing. You have to go into every frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
And so what he did was he took a 2-second clip, so you're talking over 60 frames, and he had to Photoshop each frame, put him in the purple jacket. So when you put that back in motion, it's him, in motion, but he's in Laker gear. So we had to work on a lot of stuff like that, and then some other Photoshop things that I really wanted to do in the video. That one took a while just because I was waiting for July 1st to drop that, because I kind of had the heads up that LeBron was coming. Obviously, that's why I did a bunch of like storytelling in some of my videos. If you were watching them, I have some prophetic stuff in there, and I try to also do that now. Dropping some hints in some of my stuff. Just go check them out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Chris, you are good.
I'm gonna go subscribe right now.
I think like, that one took me a while, but usually a video takes me about 2 to 3 days. Once I have all the clips in, I spend a longer time digging for footage than I do editing, if that makes sense. So I will take days just lining up the footage, extracting clips, getting what I want. And then when I edit the videos, I edit them. It's kind of a weird thing. I kind of edit them in my head before I actually place them in a video editing program. So I'll watch a trailer and be like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And very rarely I'll be like, that doesn't look so good. Let me get a different clip. But mostly like 80% of it is like in my head to the computer before I even sit down to edit. So it's a weird thing that I do. I kind of play the trailer in my head and kind of visualize it. So usually a video takes me, like, I would say on average 1 to 2 days. Wow. 1 to 2 nights, probably, I should say. And then if it goes longer than 3 days, it's because I'm waiting on something else or I'm trying to find a specific clip. And sometimes I'll be so anal that it'll be like 15 frame clip, like a fraction of a second. And I just want that one clip and I have to go find it. It's like very specific because it's important to me to tell that story. You know, I think a lot of editors edit sizzle stuff very well, and there's incredible editors out there, but for me it's always been about like pulling that emotion back and trying to put it in the videos and kind of harnessing that emotion. That's how that's kind of how focused I get. It's very like OCD almost, you know, but I love it, man. I want to do a video now, but I can't find a good trailer right now, so you know, I'll have something out though for sure pretty soon.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, well, once again, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. This was a blast. You know, you're always welcome on. So
thank you, man.
Whenever you feel,
yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate you guys, and congrats on the continued success. And yeah, I'd love to come on sometime soon. When we land Anthony Davis, let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Oh, easily, dude, easily. Well, I don't know. I might be partying it up for a few weeks. So
yeah,
I don't know. After that, though, we could figure something out.
Definitely.
Right? So from both Adele and I and all the Showtime crew, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to the Showtime Forum podcast, because without you, there is no us. Remember, we do this for you. All the blood, sweat, tears that goes into every podcast, every meme, every aggregation is for you. It's not easy. We just kind of make it look easy, right? So, you know, through all the stuff you guys don't see, there's a lot of, you know, my wife telling me to get off the computer and what am I doing and all that stuff. And I'm sure that's a lot of the guys on the Showtime Forum can relate to that. But I also wanted to announce before we get off real quick is that we are looking to make this podcast live in the upcoming weeks, so you guys out there can actually share your thoughts as we're recording. So stay tuned for that, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whatever streaming platform you're on, whatever favorite streaming platform you have. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Pod, YouTube, Anchor. We don't care which one you're on as long as you're on one and listening. But other than that, man, we're going to catch up with you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, deuces, guys.
Deuces.